Did you plan making this movie about a celebration of his 8 movies leading up to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Like, did you know it was going to come out?
So that was not the plan.
Okay.
When I sold to Harvey Weinstein and got caught up in that, and then October 5th, when that New York Times article dropped, that encapsulated these 8 films. So, because I was like, how am I going to end on 8 films when he says he's only making 10? Like, what am I going to do? But Hateful Eight kind of bookends Reservoir Dogs, where he revisits the one-room scenario, all the bad guys figuring things out. So that made sense. But then this kind of upped that.
Right. And speaking of Weinstein, because, elephant in the room, we got to talk about that.
Which is how I felt making the film.
I was going to say, like, how you do touch upon it towards the end, and it seems like an addendum to a movie that's celebrating the filmmaker. But then there's how did you approach that, and what made you decide to even, like, kind of do recreations of cartoons? I thought that was really interesting, like the Michael Madsen story with the weird moment in Harvey Weinstein and his daughter's doll. Like, there's that, which is weird and creepy. Like,
but it kind of says everything without saying it.
Yeah.
You're like, wow. For whatever reason, wow comes to you, right? It says a lot. The animations I love for that, because it allows you to explore but kind of leave it alone. Right. But Harvey was always a part of the conversation, because from Reservoir Dogs all the way through, and would have continued, I assume, they were partners. So if you're talking about Quentin's filmography, that's his partner. They made each other in a lot of ways. Nobody was willing to take a chance on Quentin back then. Harvey was. I think there's a hole in the industry right now of somebody to fill that spot of taking the risk on new filmmakers, which is unfortunate. That was the brilliant side of Harvey Weinstein. So making the film, we had to, and we also sat down with Bob Weinstein. So we had to. It felt better to pull that out when we had to revisit and re-edit and finish the film. And the abruptness of it is, I feel like, kind of how it came to us. So putting it out there and kind of pulling you out of where we're at in the film made sense.
Is the point of, like, including that stuff, though, to try to ask us to separate the man from the artist, that kind of thing?
No, I didn't mean it as a separation.
Okay.
I think it's because it's very much a part of it. I think Harvey and Quentin are so far apart, and it's shocking. So I think you just have to make what you want out of that. It was difficult to bring into the documentary. It's difficult to bring in and get back out again without it turning into being about that. And that's the last thing we wanted.
Well, I thought what you did so brilliantly that was interesting to me is when you did talk about the Weinstein stuff in your documentary, while you're interviewing people and while there's narration going on, you had scenes of Quentin's movies where these women that eventually do get revenge, like the bride, like Rose McGowan's character in Death Proof or Grindhouse or whatever, and they end up, you're showing them crying and being victims in those scenes while you're talking about the Weinstein situation. I thought that was really smart because it kind of shows that Quentin understands, as much as his movies are violent, there's a humanism in there as well.
Yes, and you're looking at the same thing differently. And I love that. I'm glad you noticed that, actually. It's and again, coming back to, he revisits themes and what was he visiting there, because he doesn't share that side necessarily. And I think this allows you to look at possibly what he may have been exploring. Right.
So
is there anyone who may have declined to have participated in the film, or
well, I was also going to
people
ask
who you
if
were warned not to approach?
Like, did you guys reach out to Uma Thurman?
So Uma's, I'm disappointed that we didn't get Uma. I understand. There wasn't an explanation. We visited a lot to try to make that happen, and ultimately, she wasn't comfortable with it. I don't know why. I know her and Quentin are good and friends, and they talk about Kill Bill 3. But she obviously she passed. Travolta was on board and scheduling, heard that. I miss Lawrence Bender.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Bender and Roger Avery.
Yeah, and yes, But again, then we get into, okay, so we have all these people and this is where we're going and we're having a hard time getting everybody. I mean, DiCaprio, Pitt, it should be 12 hours long.
Right. So was it mostly about scheduling that you were missing some of these actors and producers, or is it like
more
Travolta
like it was.
For Travolta, okay.
Yeah.
And did you reach out to Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt to get them involved?
Okay, so the truth of this part is when I sold the film to the Weinstein Company, those conversations, like Leo was on board, Travolta was on board, and those stopped.
Right.
So that's the truth of that.
Understandably.
I don't know why.
Right.
But when we got the film back a year later, then we had to move quickly, and then scheduling was a problem.
Yeah. How was that process? I mean, so the Weinsteins were backing this project for you, and then when it all happened, you had to change course?
No, so it was independently financed.
Okay.
We were almost complete. We had a few outstanding interviews, Travolta, Leo, and then we were going to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to finish with them.
I see.
Yeah.
Did that make it even more difficult for you in general? Like, what was was that the most difficult part about releasing this movie in general? Like, did you have any somebody not wanting you to release it, or?
No, I didn't get any pushback on the release. Ultimately, once it was back and clear,
Right.
we were good. It was clear sailing again. And up until this project was a dream. I mean, from Quentin giving us the blessing, and so what he did do is support everybody to show up. Sam Jackson showed up and he's like, I called Quentin, he told me to show up. I was like, cool.
There it is.
So it was amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up, everybody's happy. They're talking about their favorite director.
Yeah.
They're probably talking about some of their favorite roles or characters that they've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing. It wasn't until I signed with the Weinstein Company where it was like, oh, this isn't amazing anymore. It was just different.
Yeah.